And then because attachment's getting what it wants, this is very powerful. We all do this. Because attachment's getting what it wants, we think because it's nice now, it will be nice tomorrow. That's how we dump permanence onto everything, because basically we can't bear the thought that it might change. So we cling on to it. So when, all I know is that Nicole Kidman at the end of the interview was very moving. She said, "We will be together until we are 80." Now, we know what she means. We know perfectly well it's not true. You can't guarantee it because we're not clairvoyant. And even she said, next sentence, she said, and if we won't be devastated. At least she acknowledged it. And that's how we all are. So because something is nice now, so because, and this is the point, because I'm living now, because I'm a living person with no sickness, then of course I'm going to be living tomorrow. We say that. When we hear about a person dying, we say, oh, but how could it be? I just saw them yesterday. As if somehow they should be, and that's what grasping at permanence means. It manifests like that. You believe it instinctively that because it's nice now, it'll always be nice. And this is also the tragedy when, indeed, for her, joking about Nicole Kidman, indeed, Tom, it did end and she was devastated. Then what happens? I'm not saying her, but what happens when attachment stops getting what it wants? Now we shift to believing that that will never end and we can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that's why we kill ourselves. This is the tragedy of seeing things as permanent, and it's based on having intense attachment. So they're just misconceptions, Buddha says. He's not trying to make us scared by thinking about death. It's just finding a method to accept the reality, and then everything will change because of that. Then we won't waste our lives. Suddenly you'll have a perspective. You'll be focused on what's important. It's like, it sounds like a joke, but when we have a deadline, when you know you've got a certain goal, you've got to be at the airport tomorrow, or you've got to, leave the house in a month, or get a new job, or go somewhere, some radical change happens, you galvanize into action. Suddenly, if you've got to get to the airport tonight for a flight, you don't start having a fight with a next door neighbor or suing somebody or deciding to paint the kitchen walls. I mean, you've got all the jobs. This is the interesting point. When you've got a deadline, you're focused only on the things that are necessary to get you to the airport. Well, that's how to think about death. You're on a road to death. So because you don't know when we don't know when that phone call will come. You're on that old-fashioned one of being on, what is it, on what do they call it, on standby. You never know when the call will come. You got to be ready. Your bag has got to be ready to go, and then you focus on what's necessary. It's very clear. We know that. But if you never think death will come, then of course you're not going to prepare for it, and of course you're going to think it's a long way off. No worries, because we cannot bear the thought that the time of death is not, I'm going to die soon, because we don't believe it. And I say these words 1,000 times, editing Lama Zopa's teachings, like all of you heard it 1,000 times, but I do not believe. I believe I'll wake up in the morning. It's so ingrained in us, even when you're old, we believe it. We know this. So we accept it, but we have to counteract it all the time, remind ourselves of how foolish. The reason to remember death again is impermanence is not to fearful, it's to wake us up, to give us a wake-up call. And the crucial point, of course, is not to waste this life. And in Buddha's terms, what that means is based on karma, that we know every millisecond of what we think and do and say produces the person we become. Every millisecond of what we think and do and say produces the person we become. So when we know that, we don't want to waste time by sowing stupid, dumb, negative seeds in our mind, fighting and yelling and killing and screaming, getting depressed and unhappy. We only want to sow positive seeds, because when you die, a bit late, you want the decent seeds in your bank vault. That's the energy behind this. So if you're a materialist, you have a philosophical materialist view, then you don't continue. But at least you have a sense of urgency not to waste what's here now, because it's good. At least die with a happy mind. That's better than nothing. But the Buddhist view is it's crucial because it's up to us. We're not the product of we're not the handiwork of a creator. We're not just waiting to be rewarded by somebody. It's up to us to sow the seeds in our mind, virtuous seeds that will ensure our very next life. We've got to create it. It's not going to be given to us by somebody else. We're not somebody else's plan. We've got to make sure we put all the right seeds in our mind, in our garden, so we get the fruit we want. And the more we think about karma, the more of a sense of responsibility we'll have. that it is up to me to make sure I put the right seeds in my mind so that when I do die, I'll have the seeds available because I want another decent human life, you know. So as we know from the Lamrim, there are different goals. So forget forget emptiness, forget nirvana, forget Buddhahood, forget bodhicitta. If we could just have this sense that we know, the most basic thing is we know we want happiness. We know we don't want suffering. So what happiness means in the simple sense in terms of a life, we know we want a nice, decent human body. We want nice tendencies in our mind. We want nice experiences, and we want a nice, healthy body, and where nothing bad happens to us. That's a happy life. That is a happy life. So to begin to understand that that is what we have to cause. We have to cause that. It's not given to you. You're not created. It's not someone else doing it to you. It's not your guru going to do it for you. Oh, I'm sure Lama Zopa will take care of me when I die. Yeah, I'm sure he will, but I've got to create the karma. I've got to sow the seeds. So what comes from the view of karma is a sense of responsibility. It's up to me to put all the right seeds in my mind. And then you add impermanence to it. Then, of course, you don't want to waste time. Why would you? You have a sense of urgency. And then you are positive and focused and have less fear and less attachment and less feeling of wasting time. This is a crucial point about it. So you make sure that you've got the right karmic seeds, and then if you live your life every day like this, then you are creating and you're purifying every day and living in vows, which is the very best way to practice. These are the main techniques we've got to ensure that when we do die, we'll die happily, we'll die a good condition, and the right karmic seeds will be triggered, which happens at the time you stop breathing, which we'll talk about. So then, and you just then are programmed. You go to the bardo, and then your new mother's waiting and she gets have sex with your daddy or whatever she does, and you hop in and off you go again. So we've got to organize it. And that's the thing that I felt working on this book of Lama Zopa's really helped me see this again, kind of renew this sense that it's up to me to make sure I program my mind properly. It's up to me. And that also means I have to decide what kind of life I want. This sounds very hilarious to us, you know. We say, oh, well, whatever's best. Well, I'm sorry, if you want to go on a holiday, you don't say, oh, I'll go wherever's best. You can't get an air ticket to wherever's best. You've got to decide Australia, Italy, and then you buy a ticket. I really mean that. Or we say, whatever's best. Bugger that. You've got to decide. And you know what? There are two options. There are only two options. One is another decent human body. And you get that